And we're back with the defining week of League Play. Welcome to the OCE Championship, where League Play 5 will cap us off. Yummy Cheeseman sits at the end of the desk with Courier Lord right in the middle, and I am Jake Hysteric's Aussie Penko. As we move into the final week, we have one question. Who will be going forward into the top 6 playoffs?
We've seen so many teams playing out throughout this competition, and today it's about who will get that second place, who can get into that third and fourth, and finally, who can make that top 6.
And the best thing about today for me is how tight it is. There's so many teams in contention, with 7 teams still able to qualify for that top 6.
Now, as well as moving up to that top 6 and top 4 eventually, you're fighting for $25,000 US prize pool. And for those who haven't tuned in, this is about 10,000 Australian for coming first.
Even then, just coming top 6 today guarantees you that 1,500, and if you make it into the top 2, you're guaranteed at least 4th place, $2,500 US.
Yeah, and everyone who does play does have the opportunity to walk away with over 4 digits of Aussie dollars. That's always a good thing. So even the teams that can't make it all the way to the RLCS still have a chance to improve the prize pool.
Now, in the previous weeks, we defined where, I guess, one of our teams sit, knowing that Legs Are Silly are down in the bottom, but all the other places are today up for contention.
There's a triple head-to-head between Jam Gaming Retirement Home and Love Decks just to get through today.
Yeah, so every single game we're going to watch is going to be important. Even for Legs Are Silly, even though they can't make that jump, they're playing for an extra 250 Australian dollars. That's like $100 each.
And Chiefs have the chance to make the undefeated run, follow NRG's performance today in North America, and be the first team in OCE to go through to the perfect day.
I hope we see that match again one day soon. But we have to stay in the here and now. And for OCE Championship, the final league play, we've left the best matches to last. And I'm not just saying that. Look at the damn lineup. It's like Tainted versus Legacy and Darksider taking on Chiefs.
I'm excited for the last match of the day as well. It's an epic grudge match. It's also most likely a match just to get into the top 6 between Retirement Home and Jam Gaming.
And for me, Legacy having both of those games, we haven't seen them versing the top 4 teams outside of Chiefs. So this is going to be a great showcase of how far they've come and how far they might actually go.
It's the same with Darksider.
We are taking a step back, though, because the first match is just as important as the last. Legs Are Silly may have found their way out of contention, getting into the top 6, but it's not over for Love Decks. They need these 2 series wins here today.
And for Legs Are Silly, it's a huge proving point for them. Both of these teams have been all about improving over the season as time goes on, and we hit that 3-minute timer towards the game. You're welcome, Jay.
That's all right. That's all right. I wanted to cue it later, but Yummy, you can go ahead and
Both
take
of
the
them
honor.
have been about improving. It's about who's improved the most, and it's about who can really prove themselves going towards the future. But obviously, there's much more of a potential future for Love Decks.
Yeah, one is how far have they come, the other is how far will they go.
Well, Love Decks took some surprising matches throughout the start of league play, and they've kind of just slumped and now might be on the back end of it.
Well, they didn't take any matches at the beginning, but they did 2-3 up against the Chiefs.
Which was close enough for me.
Overtime as well.
And that was the best performance against the Chiefs of anyone this season.
Yeah, but Love Decks are going to be going up against the might of Legs Are Silly, who guys have had massive improvement over the course of the split. We've just seen the growth with Sammy and the playstyle adapt over time.
But that's been the problem with both of these teams as well, because they're constantly adapting and changing their playstyle. They're never quite getting into that comfortable rotation. They're not quite feeling it. And I'm quite sad for Legs Are Silly. They've put in so much work. They've been put in the hours. They're one of the hardest working teams we've seen here in league play, and it was just too much of a climb for them to get through. At least they can make 7th.
There has still been some growth with their win against Retirement Home. We saw Legs Are Silly in probably their finest form in league play. Now they once again have to step up to that element of a team like Love Decks, who can one time be on and one time be off.
They're difficult because as they're changing their playstyle, it depends on who they're versing. And we've seen weeks like last week up against Retirement Home where they decided to go more defensive again, and that's not what you do against Retirement Home.
No, you just don't give them the room to play. And we've seen you have like a stylistic change within the entire team of playing a little bit more defensively or aggressively, and within the team you see changes where CGM goes from the most offensive player on the team all the way to the back. So it's change everywhere.
Well, I kind of wanted to really focus on the player accolades, the RLCS player accolades, Golden Striker, Clutch Playmaker, and Savior of the Season for who gets the most in each of those categories. And CJM is currently sitting just number 2, and that's a real for saves, and that's a real surprise for someone who was offensive previously.
Strong elements in each team, and we were talking about Love Decks, but Legs Are Silly have the opportunity to surprise here because there's a bit of pressure off their backs they can play their own style. And does that give you enough confidence going up against Lovedex that you'd bet on them?
Both of these teams were really aggressive when they came in. They've both adapted more defensive, but I favor Legs of Silly's offensive style, just not quite being able to execute, so I'm going to go with Lovedex.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Lovedex as well, and I think it's going to be a case of who is on Lovedex's team, because most of their matches, in my mind, is decided on how they're playing the day, and each one of their players can be a coin flip.
I think Legs of Silly have come up a pretty long way, and although they will be walking away a little bit shorter than they wanted to, or a little bit quicker than they wanted to, I will back Legs of Silly in this first series.
Saying they've been cut off at the knees.
Yeah, well, let's hope it ends there. For Legs of Silly,
last legs to stand on?
Yes, Korea. It's normally me who makes that, but thanks so much for bringing it back right to my element. Legs of Silly have an opportunity to strike here, and not to be kingmakers, but rather to be a team that can get in Lovedex's way.
I mean, it's their last chance to prove themselves, really. And this is what we want to see from them. We want to see the growth. We want to see how far they've come.
Well, in game one, they can show us immediately. Lovedex taking on Legs are Silly. Lovedex are a team who need both the series wins here today. And going up against such a monster in Tainted Minds next, this is a series that they must walk away with. The center there from Monty Connor, CJM is denied, and early pressure being applied by Lovedex right in front of the net.
That's just one of the problems when you go for that stylistic change of moving really deep back. You lose a little bit of that hit rate up the front.
Lovedex scrambling back for this ball now. Korea, it's centered right from Legs of Silly. And Sammy now going to punch it up. CJM is there, but denied away. Zen for the first shot. Angling it nicely. Zen has been a player who has shown his rapid growth as well. Plitz right in front of net. Zen's coming in. The first shot goes to Legs of Silly.
That's a great start for Legs are Silly, with Zen finishing this and giving them the momentum we need to see from them, because offense is the name of their game.
And Zen played it so damn well. The 1, 2, and 3. Legs are Silly. Lovedex just not able to hold out.
An interesting point about Zen's offense is he actually is the highest scoring player on their team when it comes against strong defensive teams. Well, scores about 90% of their goals.
I think we've seen a lot of Zen, a lot more of Zen in Legs of Silly for the OCE Championship. And as previously before, players have struggled. Sammy has been a new addition, opening again for Legs of Silly.
Love that attempt at the bump. It doesn't matter if you make the connection. The fact that you can completely ruin Monty Connor's positioning allows you to create these openings. And that's something that Legs of Silly are really good for. Aggressive plays that are incredibly fast.
But that pass from Zen just slipped past the two defenders from Lovedex. Legs of Silly off to a cracker of a start in game one. Even off this kickoff, Sammy has a shot. Will be sent away. CJM with the save, but Plitz has brought it back in front of net again. Zen, number 3 for Legs.
What an early hat-trick as well. Coming in with the expectation of Lovedex taking away this game. But Legs are Silly, the pressure is off and the guns are out. What a start.
Second goal for Zen. Previous one going over to Plitz with a 3-0 with only a minute career. And Legs are Silly, they really just want to make a statement here today.
Yeah, it's going to be a quiet game for Sammy then. The defensive player on their roster as his two friends just go nuts on the net.
But look, the 1-2-3 cementing again.
Now he has to come forward. He wants to join the fun.
Well, it's 4-0 career. Why wouldn't you? Legs are Silly are running away with game one. This is an absolute domination over Lovedex. And if this is anything to mark the series, Lovedex could be walking away very heavily hearted here.
Yeah, you got to feel confident for Legs are Silly. That's a lot of money they're playing for. 250 USD, which is nearly 100 Australian dollars each. It's a pretty good start for the day. You know, the 4-0 looks pretty clean.
Lovedex are setting themselves up to look good in the eyes of our audience here today at the OCE Championship. 3 minutes 30. Remember that Legs are Silly. Beg your pardon, was the team I was talking about. Good pass! Whoa! That was a bit of a banger. Legs are Silly getting these 1-2s, even the 1-2-3s off quite successfully in this first game.
Yeah, they have this beautiful pass play. It doesn't always come out, but it's typically Zen and Plitz just shoot these absolute bangers. They go for like 134 Ks an hour when they just smash it towards the goals.
But without the pressure on their back, Legs are Silly are looking calm and really just precise with these plays. Adzi with the slip. Lovedex will manage to get the first shot, but nothing more than that. Legs are Silly getting the clear away, and Lovedex immediately rotating back, being down 4-0. Not a confidence booster in game number one. The center comes through once again. Legs are Silly are maintaining to hold that aggression. Monty Connor off that wall. Should be setting it up for CJM, but good block out of Plitz.
Plitz's block is actually a really interesting thing. It's based heavily on his confidence. The way he sits in the net, he gets very indecisive when he starts falling behind. So this 4-0 lead could simply increase the ability he has in defense, cleaning up the consecutive games that come from this.
Lobdex just don't know what to hit them though, Corey. I mean, it's blocking and everyone from Legacy are managing to get more control on the ball. Sammy now back in defense and we'll have to pinch this one out, but this is open. CJM denied by Zen. Really on top of this, Blitz passes it up in front of that goal square as he doesn't let it drop, but now he's going to have to deal with Blitz, which he does so successfully. Zen back in defense, doesn't get the biggest hit and going to need a bigger clear. Lobdex with their burst.
CJM is coming out now, and that's what we need to see more of. He's the offensive powerhouse of the team, has some of the highest hit rates as well. So when he starts to come forward rather than play defensively, which we saw hasn't been working for them this game, it may actually change things around.
Good breath of fresh air from Lobdex, 2-minute mark. Only 3 goals separate, and now things are looking a little bit more realistic for them. Denied away, Legacy won't get anything off of that kickoff. Legacy played around this corner, and for Blitz now has to deal with CJM. Has been really just padding those stats over the past couple of weeks. Zen goes flippity flop. That's some confidence if I've ever seen it. Legacy managed to get it out there, but Zen was, you know what he was doing.
Well, CJM was pretty patiently looking for it, couldn't find the shot, so I mean, ultimately it worked out okay.
Ball sent it again, Lobdex. Trying to position around, get those long passes off. You can see Adzi on the other wing here, but CJM has taken it himself. 3 members from Legacy holding the defense. That's all they have to do. The shot now blocked by Sammy, sent away. Adzi should be able to recover this and get it up from Monteconnor. Demolition will open net, but Sammy will get there first. This is the point from Legacy that they are reading these plays, and Lobdex seem to be struggling to kind of comprehend what Legacy will do next. As this ball comes out of the corner, Zen positions around it, but not quite. Sammy will jump up with the ball again, a minute remaining, and Legacy may have just taken game 1.
Yeah, Lobdex didn't follow up on their offense strongly enough if they are going to try to take these shots. We had that moment there where we saw Adzi completely out of boost and not able to rotate forward to finish.
Well, there's going to be a shot. CJM bringing it up, pinches it, and as it hits the roof, again, Lobdex, the speed of the ball seems to be too much for them in game number 1. Legacy are really setting the tone for this series. They're setting the pace and they're building their confidence up. And considering that Legacy don't really have to, I mean, they could perform here today, they could move themselves up to 7th place, so they go, yes, that's our confidence. With plays like that, which are getting closer and closer, I think we're going to see it again. Zen off that crossbar for Blitz. Sammy comes up as well. Legacy, they don't have to care about the defense anymore. Time's run out for Lobdex, and for Lobdex, it's getting very, very close. They cannot afford to drop really any games here. They need the series win, but even more, they need those games as well. Lobdex will drop the first one 4-1. And Legacy have come out with a bang.
Yeah, it's a good thing you mentioned that how important games are. The way most of our tiebreakers will be decided is total game score or percentage game score won. So even though that legs are silly, maybe out of the running for the top 6, for Lobdex, a 3-2 or a 3-1, even if they pull the win, is a very different score.
But I don't think that was the Lobdex that we see when they're up. When the Lobdex are down, that is more of the sentiment I feel from this team. Monteconnor had a great last week. I think he really stepped up and back out into that spotlight. This week is different. Legs are silly, able to shut them down. It's a concern for Lobdex.
Yeah, and got to hold that big lead as well.
Yeah.
We saw last week with teams where Legacy gets scored upon 3 times, they managed to crawl back, even though they couldn't pull the game. But in this one, Lobdex never really got their footing. They got it back to par, but not enough.
But it's a very different team environment for Lobdex versus a team like Legacy. Legacy is so disciplined that they will continue to push forward. A team like Lobdex here, the New Zealand squad, they struggle. It feels like they take one loss and it really hits home, and they're always on the back foot.
Yeah, but they can bounce back fast as well. So we've had games in the past where we saw Adzi, who can be very, very hot and cold. I'd say he's one of the most hot and cold players in this entire league play, where he went up against Chiefs, and he had a game where he got 85 score. So, you know, completely decimated. But he bounced back, got his head back in the game, and he single-handedly carried that game against the Chiefs and just absolutely murdered them.
But how do we stop these passing plays? Because legs are silly. We've talked about the inaccuracy before. We've said, hey, they're good passing plays, but just there's no accuracy. There's no finisher. In all 4 of those goals, that was a great way to start in like under a minute. Legs of Silly were a brand new team.
Yeah, the hard part for Lobdex is they're the most intercepted team when they actually play. In regards of Adzi is one of the most intercepted players and least likely to connect a pass. So when you're going up against a team that's being fast and going for those intercepts, you're in a really rough spot. Well,
speaking of that, the intercept just comes through, and that save before what you saw from Blitz, that was beautiful. On the corner, Legs of Silly will now play this slow. CJM winning it out. Lobdex on the defensive in game 2, and hopefully not for long. CJM brings the ball up, plenty of boost to play with. pops it now. This is going to center it. Adzi and Monty Connor do not commit. Zen goes through. The intercepts are a big part now of what we have to look at. Lovedex is sent up, but Plitz away it goes. Up for the ball again. Zen is trying to punish Lovedex and get between the plays.
Yeah, but Monty Connor, the man in the middle, when he's on, he likes to be the bully, taking out a ton of demos, a ton of bumps to help control the mid. So if we start to see more of that come through, then actually be able to get a bit of control.
We saw some aggressiveness in that net in Game 1, Korea, and I think that Monty Connor will be the person to watch to sway Lovedex. In the last week of league play, Lovedex hang in the balance, and now in Game 2, the balance of the net is in favor of Legs. They keep pushing up. Zen on the defense. Monty goes up for the ball. Beautiful redirect set up for CJM. As he comes back in as well. Sammy, away it goes. He wants the Dunkin' Donuts. But unfortunately, it was a little bit too pricey this time around. Plitz centers the ball, but doesn't leave the second touch for Zen.
So close, but yet so far. And it may cost them possession as well, but they get out of the net. So Lovedex is getting some more time. We've already seen improvements in the last 5 minutes. Beginning of last game was rough, but they're slowly getting better.
Well, Legs are silly. They've misinterpreted this pass. CJM, I think that was going all the way to Zen. Now bringing it back. Lovedex have a little bit of time to work with. Managing to hold out. Monty Connor for the first shot. CJM trying to recover. Steals it away from Zen. Plitz up for the ball as well. That's a banger and a half. Zen goes through, tries to fake it, but Plitz should be able to recover, hits that backboard. Sammy back as well. Relentless pursuit of attack coming through from Legs of Silly. Plitz bringing it forward, hit that side post, and oh boy, they're getting creative, Legs of Silly.
Yeah, it's a good game for CJM though. Really going to get those saviors up, and there's a fair chance they'll take first.
Well, Plitz brings it back to passing again with the lockdown from Zen.
Yeah, the salt and pepper play as they just take shot after shot up against that backboard. And eventually you're going to crack. You can't hold out that long.
And 1, 2, and 3. Now the precision being shown, as we did lightly mention. Crowd behind Legs of Silly, 64% their career.
We love an underdog over here.
But it's not even that. Legs of Silly have shown they can beat Retirement Home. They're showing they can potentially do the same thing. This is a good pass. Sammy, a little bit wide. We'll have to recover this one from the corner. Misses it. We'll go right past him. Zen loses the ball. Following it through is Adzian. This one bounces. Luckily doesn't go in, but for who? That's a good block from Plitz. Just wondered how he did that. Stole it away. Adzi. We'll get the first one for Lovedex.
They can start turning it back around now. I thought we were going to have that Legs of Silly going for the runaway, but Adzi gets a good read, and the follow-up slightly too fast for Legs of Silly to pick up, and that's something they're going to have to work on. Lovedex typically struggles with a lot of boost management, keeping up to pace, and Legs of Silly are a famously fast team.
Well, they're stealing the ball away, but just then, ball was on the other foot. Clear from Plitz. CGM will get up to the ball, and he has had some great defense in our league play. Someone to watch, someone to highlight. Sammy over the ball again. We need to tighten this up for Legs of Silly. Monty Connor the pass. It's dropped down. CJM solo again.
He is the offensive powerhouse they used at the beginning of the season when they went up against Chiefs, when they almost beat the reigning top dogs. And now he's coming back forward. It gives me hope. He had such insane shooting. He was near the top of the rosters.
CJM has had many of these plays throughout league play. He has been a mechanical genius who you just want to give him a hammer, a bit of nails, and see what he can do. It looks like right now he's building the foundation for Lovedex. 2-1, 2 minutes remaining, centering the ball again. Was a miss, but still Lovedex will remain in control. Monty Connor's all the way back, and the ball will get cleared up, centered. It looks like it's starting to be read by Legs of Silly. The ball stolen away, and as I say that, Lovedex want to push the aggression even further.
Yeah, we're going to keep seeing CJM moving up over the course of the game. He does have that 75% goal participation, so he's always near the ball, enough to help either assist or finish. And it looks like from now on, he wants to finish.
You want to see the consistency. The pass is a little bit wide. Blitz will come back in. Zen up for the ball. Looks like they're out of boost. Legs of Silly rotate all the way back. This is Sammy now, who the boost has been stolen again. Zen centers it, but for who? Lovedex, 115. They hold the lead. A bit of an advantage in game 2. Legs of Silly have found the crowd's favor, but to find ours, they must then perform at that consistent level.
And Legs of Silly are getting all the intercepts. Every time they go up, they are ready and waiting. Sammy with some insane predictions as he moves across the pitch.
CJM is one setting this ball up. Foundation continues to grow. Lovedex are playing well with their time. The pass back off the wall. Here's the third. CJM didn't block that. That was in. Plitz now waiting, maybe a little bit too long. CJM bringing it back. 40 seconds of game 2. Lovedex, the team that need every win. Looks like the pressure has now gone past and the temptation to win this series has sunken in. Monty Connor pops it up. Sammy will defend it, but we need more than defense from Lexasili.
And with 24 seconds on the clock, there's not a lot of time left to make those offensive plays. And when Lovedex have that confidence back, they're just pushing deeper and deeper into the half.
But look at what Plitz has done here, Korea off the backboard, not defended. A little bit slow in the rotation, the 1, 2, and 3. Plitz bringing it over. The touch was so crucial there. Zen bringing it as well. And now in front of net, Sammy's up, but not in time, and it looks like a bit of miscommunication, a bit slow on the return for Lexasili as they'll try and keep it up, but I'm not sure for how long. All the way up the field, Plitz pinches now for Zen. The dunk in front of net, ladies and gents, but Lovedex managed to block.
Oh, that was so close to that comeback there. The pass play up and back down the pitch with no seconds left. It would have been poetic to see them finish that off, to show the growth, to say, hey, we're not the team that has two guys that love to do those amazing solo plays. We've now adapted and we've got the passes as part of our repertoire.
Lovedex have come on in Game 2, Korea. Lovedex have stepped up in Game 2. Lovedex have put everything on the line in Game 2. Now is the progression in this series going to continue, or have Lexasili maybe pulled back a little bit too much?
I think they go hand in hand. Confidence is a large part of Lexasili's game. So Plitz defensively, he can get a little bit uncomfortable, get a bit indecisive as well. And when they start to get a little bit worried, they pass less. So Zed and Plitz not passing to each other can cause a little bit of issues, because obviously not passing is not
good.
Not good, right?
Agreed.
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 And Sammy gets worried and goes deeper into his own rotations, and he plays a little bit more defensively. We saw earlier, when Sammy came up to start finishing the goals, that he had that confidence to be like, okay, no, I can come forward, you guys have me covered. On the flip side, though, as Lovedex get more confident, we see Monty Connor starting to do more in the midfield. Adzi starts to pass more. He has some of the lowest passes in the league because he gets trust issues with his teammate, but when he starts to open that up, they can start to do things there as well. So it's going to be one of those scaling hard, scaling fast, either way it goes.
I think that there was a lot of intimidation from Lovedex at the start of this series. Lexasili have beaten Retirement Home, and they're a very fast team. Lovedex might be happy to take it a little bit slower, but in Game 3 we'll find out there's one apiece. Lexasili, they've lost the ball. CJM, he's taking it through kickoff.
It's a good start to the game. Nothing says confidence like getting the kickoff goal.
Oh my god, that was a beautiful turn from CJ. Even bumps Sammy at the end. Or Sammy bumps on him. I mean, you can take it as you will, but Lovedex in the first 5 seconds, they find the lead.
I mean, we were worried that CJM was going to go back to defensive rotations, but it seems that he's quite happy just to run it all the way up on the pitch on his own.
A little bit cheeky from Lexasili again. They bring it all the way up to that backboard, but well defended. Montecano will now have to come off the wall, but leaves it for Adzi. Lovedex pushing forward again off the roof. That one pinches in.
He has an insane shot percentage for somebody that has been waiting around in that back position, but with a 36% shot rate, he is a monster when he wants to come out. He's like the sleeping bear you don't want to wake.
I think at 2-0. Lovedex looking confident again. Another time for Lovedex to really step up to the plate is now. And there's really only now Adzi with the shot over to Zen. Bring it all the way back. Zen all the way up the field. Blitz. Lovedex again. Monty Connor. Sammy will now bring it back down. This is good for Lovedex if they can get there first, but Blitz has drifted with the ball. Adzi in defense, doesn't get a big enough clear. Over the top, but they get the demolition. Now Adzi sets it up nicely. Silly still at a 2-goal deficit, bringing it off that wall. Blitz will jump through. This is not good for Lexasili, under a lot of pressure, but be having fun with this game. They should look at what they can do. Intercepted and destroyed with Lovedex.
It's a reversal of the first game. The confidence is back in Lovedex. They know that they can do this. Monty Connor's running forward. The pass plays are coming with Adzi, and we're starting to see them finishing everything off.
3-0 Lovedex have walked away within a minute of Game 3. However, can still be brought back. Lexasili, they have their big clear. They bring it over. And Lovedex, a team that now under pressure, seem to be okay. Up again from the backboard, Zen misinterprets. It's sent downfield. Montecano will be the one to drift with Adzi. From the corner, Lovedex seem to be getting to the ball first, and Lexasili, the pace has definitely slowed down.
They've run out of boost. We just saw 2 of their players are completely empty, so there's no way for them to get pace, and Zen is the only one that's fully stocked and loaded.
Clear again, that's a good pass. He will get demoed, but CGM really hasn't done enough. The pass to center, taking himself with a flick of the blitz.
Yep, Blitz is their solo play. He's the guy that runs up the pitch, and getting that positional advantage when his teammates sent it up with him meant that he could just run and gun with it.
Blitzy boy, I knew you were trouble when you walked in, but shame on me. His legs are silly. Close that gap. 2 goals left. How do you take it? How do you achieve it against a team like Lovedex? A lot more demolitions, a lot more bumps now coming onto the pitch. Number 3. RLCS is getting so much closer, and for Lovedex, it's on the line. Sammy to center again. He pops it up though. Legs are silly, getting creative. They stay down this side. Zen onto the wall instead. Sammy brings it up. Now Blitz, I want you to dunk the ball like you've never dunked it before. Zen, he will not come in. I was waiting for him to make an impact, but Legs are silly. Looks like the play has just been shut down.
Yeah, they were trying to go for that pressure play there as he sat in the midfield, and it seems like it's going okay. They haven't lost control of it yet. They've kept it in the Lovedex half, and the idea is eventually they'll bleed them with shots or bleed them with boost.
Pass by Sammy, popped up by CJM, but Sammy's still here. Blitz in as well, and Legs are silly getting a lot more aggressive. They're now back to their usual selves. Monty Connor will get pumped out and now becomes a little bit useless until he gets back on the ground. Lovedex, they need to start intercepting the ball a lot more because Legs are silly. They're getting an opportunity to strike. CJM brings it back in, and that's actually a shot.
A shot on. They've turned it right back around, and we can see just there how he pulls out the defense, both of them going up for it. And that's a problem you get when you get stressed. The communication falls apart in the defense, and it allows the final player to come through and finish it with an open goal.
3 goals again. Lovedex continue to climb ahead in game number 3. 2 minutes 15 remaining, and Lovedex decide that feeling pretty comfortable, pretty confident, and the team looks like it's coming online. They verse Tainted Minds next. Legs are silly, needs to be a win for them to continue forward.
Yeah, they are a team that can just completely bounce back. Against Chiefs, they had that bounce back. We've seen that they can go terribly in one game and then be like, no, we're going to win this, head back in, and then just destroy the next.
Lovedex back in front of that net, exactly where they want to be. The pass is upfield from Legs are silly, but it could be too late. That one comes close and was eventually an open net, blocked by Monty Connor. As the saviors keep coming in for Lovedex. Now the clear away. I fear that game 3 will be a bit of a mild table runner for Lovedex. It looks good. It serves purpose, and it knows exactly what it needs to do. Lovedex walking away strong. Minute 30 to go, and I think they've done enough.
Yeah, it's a complete inversion of the last game. We had a 1-4, now they completely flipped it on its head. Momentum's a lie, and anyone can win.
Of course it is, Korea. Even though I've said it many, many times over the many, many years. CGM, that is a now.
4 goals. When a hat-trick's not enough.
It all started with this, CJM getting the 5-second goal. Legs are silly. Fell behind and we're like, this is dangerous. This is a detriment to our society. They continued on anyway, and Lovedex, they take an extra game. And from what started was a great Legs are silly, is now fallen back to a great Lovedex who've really come online.
And every game matters. So Lovedex getting this win is critical. Like a 3-1 is very different.
35 seconds. I don't think it's enough, Korea. I'll count it from there. Legs are silly, defining themselves in game 1, but no more. Lovedex have got a chance here, though, Korea. They take this series, or they take this game, they have a chance to take the series, and with the way CJM is playing, I think we could give Lovedex maybe the benefit of the doubt moving into the Tainted Mind series.
Yeah, if CJM comes forward, it's going to be a much more interesting game to watch, because you can't let Tainted Minds have room to play. And if CJM is playing more defensively in his rotations and can't control the midfield, then they're going to have too much room.
Well, interceptions were coming out a little bit more for Legs are silly, but this is going to be going over to Lovedex, and I think now we start saying, hey, look, the Lovedex have had a pretty... Let's be honest, they haven't had a great league play. The closeness to the Chiefs was about as much as we hyped them up, and then from there it kind of went down. Lovedex only finding 1 win, but now they might be looking at a second. 5-2 in that second game, and there were props, of course, going to CJM.
Yeah, some dominant performance there. And the rest of them, they work together as well. So when they start to have those passes, when Adzi starts feeding the ball to his teammates, allowing CGM to come forward and make the play off it, that's when they really start to shine. And the confidence that Monty Connor has is pivotal. because when he's not on his A game, because his specialty is in the midfield, like
Yep.
interrupting plays. We saw him going for some big bumps, opening up the goal. When he doesn't have that confidence to go forward and do that, someone in the midfield that's not taking the shots, but also isn't taking up players, isn't really doing much.
It was like something just ticked in their brains and they're like, oh wait, we can win this. Instead of game one, we're like, we're getting shut out, we don't know what to do. I think I'd like to look at the leadership in this team. Like, who is calling the shots? Who
Listen
is
to the comms.
Yeah. I really want to say it's CJM, and I will confirm that, of course, but CJM has been walking forward, confident as all heck. Monty Connor there, sitting in the sidelines, demoralizing demolition. What's the plural of?
Demoralizing's fine. Like when you demo someone, they're demoralized.
Demolitionizing. God, I hate English so much. Wish I could speak something else. But we are about to jump into game 4, and there is a moment here when we give Legs Are Silly maybe coming back to that benefit of the doubt, where the passing plays have been so good when they've come through. We want to see more. Game 4 begins now.
They're down, but they're not out, and the underdogs always have a chance to strike back.
Sammy has taken it solo. He goes over the balls, then the one to recover. And back and forth again. Lovedex over the top, hits in front of that net. Plitz is waiting back. Here's the one you want to watch. Sammy off the wall. Remember that Plitz was going to come in there, but as he gets sent away, now it's Plitz on the defensive. Straight through the middle. CJM responds likewise. Lovedex now have a bit of room to play with, and if they can keep it down here, which they can't, from the corner, they all congregate. 40 seconds of pass. Zen, light touch. It's a bouncer over to Monty Connor. Plitz gets up, but it's going to be too late. That one's cleared away, and Monty Connor comes in for his own shot. Zen now trying to put a bit more pace on the ball, but Lovedex, they keep it to a standstill. They slow it down, and they play at their pace. CJM from this corner will bring it onto that backboard, and it's once again cleared away.
But Lovedex is sitting there. They're ready and waiting for the pressure play to start building on their own, and they're not going to let them break out of their half as they slowly and confidently take shots from that midfield line.
Backboard not defended. Instead, Legs Are Silly feel like they just want to use the pace of that ball to their advantage. Sammy, great center. But it is missed out, and Plitz will now have to recover what he can as Adzi gets his own passing play for CJM to erupt. Adzi again, the bouncer, the banger, the slow wall hanger. Lovedex now on the defensive as Sammy goes up for the ball. The third is a little bit too far away. That was Zen.
Sammy's a great player, and an addition to their roster in allowing them to kind of move forward confidently without it risking the huge, clear punishments we have seen them get earlier in the competition.
See Sammy actually committing to the ball. The 1-2s and 3s, they look a little bit cleaner. Sammy getting the bump away. Monty Connor has a shot, but continuously blocked by Legs Are Silly as they come around the left wing. Zen now bringing it back, and that's right in front of net. CJM hangs back, and Lovedex hang in the balance. 3 minutes. Center again. Easily cleared away. Waiting for that trip up from either team. Sammy over the top. Monty Connor blocks. CJM again. It's been a much slower paced game for Lovedex. You have to say that works for them.
Yeah, it's definitely in their favor if the speed on the pitch starts to slow down, because Legs Are Silly can't get away with these crazy fast plays and breakouts if they're not running around with large amounts of boost to spare.
30 Lovedex now, the banger down from Blitz.
And that's what you want to see, right? The pass plays coming out. We saw them try to pull back at the end of last game in the final minute with some, but now Sammy passing to Blitz to open up the net is allowing them to do so, and this could be the beginning of a comeback.
Playing up high, Legs Are Silly feel at their most comfortable. Lovedex now down 1. And it's going to be a bump off to Zen. Sammy's like, move, buddy. This is my ball. Zen will hang around the midfield. There's a second shot. Blocked again, but Lovedex, they're getting piled on in this net. Nobody likes that whatsoever. Plitz is back over to Sammy, steals the ball and brings it into fruition for another passing play for Legs Are Silly. Plitz brings it back, and this is good. Zen now popping it forward, and another shot coming out of Legs Are Silly.
Yeah, but Sammy is in here in defense and can get the clear or the pass, allowing him to get right back in and begin again.
Angled for Plitz. Back over to CJM. Sammy now. Solo play. Closed out by Monty Connor.
The cool thing about what Sammy just did there is when he went to take the shot, the way he angled his car meant that even if they got the block, it would turn into a pinch and go down the left side rather than actually lose control and turn into a clear.
I think this is decision-making at its finest in Korea. Monty Connor with the pass. That's close. Adzi was there. I think creativity from Monty Connor can never be really underestimated. Sammy up for the ball. Still one over by Legs of Silly as the clear doesn't come out. Blitz now off this corner. Should be able to follow it. Has enough boost and hits that backboard. There's a lot of freedom now for Legs of Silly. A minute 10 remaining. Love Decks have to get the breakaway. They have to make sure they control this backboard and get that massive clear to bring them up to the side.
And Legs of Silly are adapting to try counter that. We just saw that moment there where Sammy went for that slow play, setting off the backboard, which potentially could have been a pass, but no one was there to follow up. That means they're playing more defensively. They're sitting back in the midfield when they normally would have taken shots and passes. They're going, no, we're going to go for pressure.
Remember, we just said decision making is so damn important in this series. 40 seconds left. Demolition from Monty Connor should open things up, but Blitz is dribbling with the ball. CJM will center the shot. Blocked by Blitz.
They're so fast at those intercepts, and Love Decks really struggle with connecting those passes when the speed gets to this level.
That's such a light touch. Playing with fire, our Legs are silly. That could have been a banger of a wanger, but it doesn't. 20 seconds now. Monty Connor will be blocked out by Zen. Legs are silly. Have one opportunity, one shot. Do not break it. 15 seconds. They managed to hold out, and now Zen should be able to get up to this ball. Right wing. We're playing around Adzi at the moment as he follows down with the ball. Wait for the drop. 2 seconds. CJM doesn't find it. But oh my dear Lord! Legs of Silly will take us to game 5.
Out by the size of a bee, just so narrowly do Legs Are Silly pull that win over them. And I love the way they adapted. The change in play style shows the amount of growth that Legs Are Silly have gotten over the course of this league play to flip it on a dime.
One goal was all that mattered in that series career, and Love Decks decide that... I keep saying Love Decks decide. No. Legs of Silly decide they want to take it to a game 5. There was a lot of change in that game 4 for Legs of Silly, though.
Yeah, I love the fact that it wasn't all about solo plays. We saw earlier that Plitz can make them. We've seen that they have the Zen Plitz pass or Sammy passing to Plitz. Plitz typically is going to receive most of the balls. But when they stopped, when they had that moment, Sammy went up and they went, no, we're going to wait in the midfield. We're going to keep pressure. We've got the lead. We just need to hold it out. Yep. And they did. It's really cool.
It's another game 5 for Legs of Silly, and when it comes down to it, Legs of Silly, they've shown they can take the pressure on board and work with it, like we saw in the Retirement Home series. Now in game 5, Love Deck's a different beast, different style.
Yep.
How do we define each team moving into game 5 and what they want to do?
Well, I want to see what's going to change, because we're seeing the adaptation coming out now from Legs of Silly. We saw that was to stop the adaptation of Love Decks, because Love Decks, they started off and like, okay, we're going to have CJM back in defense. Didn't work for us. CJM in offense, it works great. And we see Legs of Silly go, okay, we can't try beat out CJM, so we're going to go for pressure plays. And we're just seeing these change in styles. It's having flow-on effects. So I'd love to hear comms again. Like you made that point. I want to hear this. I want to hear the strategies that they're adapting in this minute they have between games.
Well, game 5, they've run out of time to think about the strat, and now they have to execute it. In game number 5, Love Deck's first shot goes clear. Adzi will respond immediately around the corner. Should be able to follow it down the dribble. Non-existent as one hangs back from Love Decks. They're going to make the 1 and 2. Somehow that will not do. Love Decks on the defensive again, but a swift pop-up, and game 5 could be a little bit more cautious than what we've seen.
Not from Love Decks, but look at CJM just coming right out roaring with Adzi as well, and it's costing them some scary position as Legs of Silly get to run in and score off the back of it.
Zen came through strong, right down center field. Watch this one again. Zen reads where that ball's going to go, and immediately he's up for it first.
Yeah, Blitz opened up the goal excellently there. And I think that's what they're going to go for. I think Love Decks are going to pick up the pace. They're going to say, okay, Adzi, CJM, we're going to go nuts. Try to beat them at the Speed Force.
Well, Legs of Silly seem to have beat them in the first one. Maybe the second race will be a little bit different. Zen now up on the backboard. He's almost read the ball to a pinpoint, but Blitz will center it across, and as Sammy picks up boost, he will bang it all the way back. Still in front of net, now off that backboard, not defended, but Blitz will read the second bounce. Monty Connor from the corner. Now the center from Adzi, the third from Monty. The fourth is CJM, but he's not up for the ball. He's hanging in the midfield, and again, more of a defensive style from Love Decks. Looks like speed was not an option in that play.
Just weren't able to finally finish it out. They need to have the shots on, and that's where CJM is their best shooter, so missing out on having him as part of that two-man play inhibit the ability to score.
So it kind of wins over that defense, but it goes over to CJM. Now off that back wall, Monty Connor comes in as well. 3 minutes 30, Love Decks are playing with fire as they try to commit more members. CJM pinched to the other corner. Adzi will use the speed on that ball, and hopefully Love Decks can try and find some room to improve. Now for the center, Monty. Hate to see it. But when Lovedex make a mistake like that, this is the walk away. Legs are silly. Run forward. Zen now back for the ball. Sammy waiting in the midfield. And I think that was Blitz on the side who was waiting patiently. Adzi will come back up once again. It's a bounce at the second touch. Oh my God, Adzi!
That is so difficult to read against. You see him running towards you. He goes, it's not Rocket League. We're now playing basketball, maybe even AFL. Look at Sammy. Poor guy.
Doesn't matter what sport it is. You know that Adzi plays it damn well. 1-1 Lovedex have moved into a now more confident position. That's not something we usually see out of Adzi. I tell you what, I'm now looking for more.
If Adzi comes forward, if he's having a good day, they may be able to take it to Tainted Minds. When he carries, he just goes like off the chain. He goes mad. It's like a rabid dog.
But we need to see them win this series first, Korea. Otherwise, the hopes and dreams, that could be it. It could be all over Red Rover. Lovedex, 2 minutes 30. They need this next goal. Overtime game 5. It's the dream. CJM now over the top. Blitz was waiting there patiently, keeping it on ground level. The bouncer was read by Zen, but Lovedex again. This is time for Monty Connor.
They're all starting to step up now. They're getting the confidence. They're slowly building these pressure plays. So whilst it may not have been about speed, it was about quick possession from the midfield and then slowly transitioning it into the actual goal.
Taking the lead for one of the few times in this series, Lovedex holding that advantage and now putting Legs of Silly back on the ropes. Top 6 playoffs is what we're fighting for here today, and Legs of Silly, they've secured their position, but Lovedex have so many opportunities here. CJM getting the ball all the way to that backboard, and the defense is real, but unfortunately there's so much room to breathe. Montecano brings it back down around this left-hand corner. Sammy slow to the ball, dribbles it forward, Adzi now enough boost to recover, but that clear should set things up. CGM hasn't responded well, and it means Zen can push up, bumped through the air. Blitz is now waiting around the midfield, hands it over, Sammy will respond.
What a great read as well, all the way at the other side of the pitch, knows the clear's about to come through, so jumps up and is now allowing them to keep pressure inside the Lovedex half.
How do Lovedex appreciate this offense from Legs of Silly? My thoughts are they don't like it whatsoever. Zen, now this is good for Blitz. Back over to Zen, but they've left it for too long. And they're running out of time. Legs of Silly now for the dunker. Montecano will easily defend that one away. Legs of Silly are just trying to push up this field, but they're always getting blocked by Lovedex.
Sammy in the perfect positioning there, sitting back in that third, allowing them to get it clear and keep pressuring Lovedex for that final opportunity to score.
Now slow to the ball, Monty Connor just off the chip of his wing. Sammy from the corner, bump it forward, Blitz. PogChamp is he's upside down, now waiting for Zen. Zen now leaves the ball. Sammy, someone needs to get up for it. Zen over the top, it's in front of net. Blitz, get amongst it. He finds the angle, camera. Finds the left wing. It's all so close for Lovedex, but they managed to hold on. 40 seconds remaining. Sammy bounces the ball. Zen coming forward. Blitz as well. This is the final play potentially for Legs are Silly. Blitz, open net, but he's a little bit slow. They pass it back, and Sammy hits the crossbar. Legs are Silly, still a goal down. Sammy keeps it in this half, but Adzi now goes forward, and Zen recovers it.
With the perfect use of boost, not a drop left in the tank. Zen is up to finish the play, again with the intercepts, stopping everything.
You know what? Thomas would be proud here, Courier. 18 seconds left to go. And if you're a tank engine, if you're a rocket car, you're sitting there with anticipation, wasting the fuel in the parking lot. We're going to walk away from that because I've gone way too far. 10 seconds left remaining. Legs are Silly now bringing it up the field. Overtime's the potential, but the upset even now. Blitz, it pinches off the wall. So close. Blocked away by Adzi. It's overtime.
They tried to close that out so greedily, just that all three of them went up, nearly punished by that pinch. You can tell so hungry both of these teams are.
Remember this happened in retirement home, 7-second overtime, and the first shot will bring it close. Lovedex on the defensive still. Zen brings it up. Sammy now bangs it for Lovedex. Opportunities coming to a crushing halt, but Zen is denied. Monty Connor off this right wing. They need this overtime win. Lovedex taking a series loss. Could mean it's all over. Sammy now on the side. Bounces off the corner. Doesn't read it well. Still wins it over. Legs are Silly. pushing the tempo. A great song and one they might listen to after this as it centers through, but no one's in net. Adzi playing it slow. Sammy's recovered back. 40 seconds. They continue on.
And they're really struggling, both teams having to pick up the pace because there's so much on the line. They have to show all their growth by who pulls the win.
Connor bringing it back, good read by Sammy. Will defend it well, take the boost and limit the options for Lovedex. Back in is CJM. Miss again over the top. Zen hits it up. This corner has been played so well by Legs Are Silly, but Blitz is coming in, wants to bang it. That crossbar is a pain for Legs Are Silly.
We're seeing all of them, though, having to rotate back, but choosing instead to go for that intercept. Their speed is how they're beating Lovedex to the ball, but if they ever make a miss, it could be a goal.
Zen hanging in the midfield. Blitz rotates back as well, but Adzi is going to have the shot of a lifetime. Blitz blocks it down. Great save. Sammy over the top as well, and a little bit of caution rising for Legs Are Silly.
You see it in Zen, not even going for the boost, too scared to give up the pressure, sitting on 11 as the fear is in his eyes.
Blitz that pass up, just reaches Monty Connor again, and it's like watching the same movie twice here. Lovedex walk all the way upfield. CJM, he's the one hanging back. Slow touch, but Blitz wins it over actually, and now the center from Blitz will be denied by Monty Connor. Minute 52, 3, the center again, Adzi brings it over, and again, Lovedex, they've taken it to 2 minutes of overtime. Pressure really rising, big clear from Sammy. CGM will reach up, but Blitz is coming in strong from the corner. Away it goes. Down it should be. Sammy's there as well. Montconnor with the runaway, and let's forget.
Buying his teammates time to get repositioned in their half and try to deny Lovedex another opportunity because Legs Are Silly need to hold possession.
Sammy goes over the ball. It works out for Blitz as he steals it. CJM winning that one. Bumped midair. Will not matter as he's out of position. Blitz needs to rotate towards that ball. Monty Connor hands it up and pops it forward. Blitz really stealing away the ball. The demolition. Here we go. The passing play. Getting me a little bit too pepped up. Sammy the pass again this time. It is blocked away.
Now we're seeing Lovedex starting to turn it right back on Legs Are Silly, getting intercepts of their own, slowly catching up to the speed of play, which could be the death knells for Legs.
As he goes over the ball now in the corner, playing it slow. Lovedex 3 minutes in from the corner. Back again, almost said Shady. Blitz from Sammy that was. Zen waiting in the midfield. Sammy again with the slide over to Adzi. It's going to be a center up, back in net. They're facing the wrong way. Blitz will hit it around. No one going the full commit just yet. Everyone playing very, very cautiously. But the right wing is a friendly bump. Won't matter too much. Zen actually missing the ball. Maybe it does. What's going to walking down with it as well. Blitz with the setup. Sammy walking forward. The angle was right. But it seems like everyone is always up to the ball before the attacker.
Legs Are Silly getting a little bit panicked. They're maintaining pressure, but they're starting to have the double commits. The communication breaks down under the stress of it all.
But now for Sammy and Blitz. They come into the center. Zen hanging back. Being in the center field. Zen with the shot. Blocked easily by Monty Connor, but it doesn't go anywhere. I'm expecting someone to come up for the ball. It's Blitz now who wins it over. The center is there, but unfortunately, it goes right past 4 minutes into overtime, and we do not have a consistency here just yet.
We are seeing Legs Are Silly choosing not to go crazy forward on that aggression, and sometimes they're staying a little bit back as the pressure continues to rise and rise and rise.
Second backboard touch for Legs Are Silly, works out and gets the clear. Zen brings it upfield, Adzi around on the side, Legs Are Silly into an intense moment, but Blitz off the wall. Now going to those solo plays, he wants this to end. Blitz gets past the ball, he goes over it, leaves it. Sammy now in charge, but he goes over the ball. Zen waiting back, and he will have to be the one to clear this. Bangs it towards that backboard, easily defended, but Monty Connor not getting any pace, any distance away from that ball itself. The center away, crossfield from Sammy. Again, Lovedex are going to be tiring themselves out because we're into 5 minutes overtime now.
Pretty much a whole nother game, and it deserves to be this way, with one team trying to prove that they deserve to have done better and another prove that they can go up against Tainted Minds.
Such an intense moment for Lovedex as they know this is going to count so deeply. 5 minutes, 10 seconds, cheating out the ball. Monty Connor wants a demolition. Blitz walks away from it. Two members are crunching down on the ball, and this needs to be addressed. That Lovedex are starting to build up the pressure in front of net. 5 minutes 20. Sammy now, solo. Zen, pass, 1-2. Blitz doesn't commit for the third. They know they don't have full ball control. Lovedex now maybe should be able to get something away from it. CJM brings it upfield. Monticono's waiting back, but Zen first, Adzi second. Zen still holding it. CJM the last defender as it's going to hit on top. Blitz ready to dunk. Sammy needs to finish this one, but it's not done. The breakaway as Zen will only just narrowly hold off.
And dies for his actions as he gets destroyed, but it stopped the goal as his two teammates now need to hold out till he respawns.
Monticono brings it back around. That's a good center, but Zen's there first. They're playing so damn cautiously. I feel like we have another legacy overtime here, but the double dunk down, it hasn't been received. Sammy, the glue, he has just unstuck and finished it off.
Slowly but surely, the newest player to their roster takes out the goal and finishes the game.
Sammy will get Legs Acilia win in their second win in league play. Of course, for Lovedex, that is a huge, huge responsibility now on their shoulders that they have to take a win against Tainted Minds, and then maybe they might be able to move through into top 6.
But for Legs Silly, this is an important win. They're the team that got dropped by the Legacy roster, but now they can come up and say, hey, that was unfair. We have done a great performance. We've taken down Lovedex. We still have a lot to prove, and we have a lot of growth left in the tank.
A lot of growth. They're looking great for next season. Unfortunately, that was the last, but they've secured themselves almost certain 7th place. It's just now a point that they've stood up so much to Lovedex that they've almost got in their way.
I wish it was a gauntlet run. I want to see more of them.
Well, no, after game 5 overtime, and 6-minute game in overtime, I strongly believe that Legs Silly will come back in the next season looking even stronger, and maybe a new roster that could be one to be trifled with down the line.
Or maybe no new roster.
Not to be trifled with.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Not to be trifled with
Not
later
to trifle with the desk, but I think that they will have a great next season because of their hard work. And you saw it over the season. They were the fastest improving team.
Oh, yeah.
At the beginning of the season, we almost thought maybe they could just completely get knocked out. And speaking of that, Lovedex now have to beat Tainted Minds at least 3-1 to secure 100%. They have to win just to have a chance. They have to win 3-1 to give themselves 100%
That is
chance
a very
at top
hard
6.
ask. That is a very hard ask. And for Lovedex in that last series, what made them fall short here, I guess, so that what they can look at going towards Tainted Minds?
There was a lot. I mean, my biggest gripe with the Lovedex was their defense. They were very static, they were holding back, and that's why Legs Acili's offensive plays was getting to them, because they were getting the ball fast and behind them, and they were sort of standing there in net, letting the ball get behind them. Against Tainted Minds, that's going to be even more of an issue, because Tainted Minds play even faster. They go for a lot more quick passes against the back corner, and Lovedex need to start getting out and challenging the ball.
That's going to be a real frying pan into the fire situation.
Now, before we do go to a quick break, gents, do you have someone from Legs Silly that you want to promote for a bit of a contender for the Omen by HB end of the day?
I think it's tough. I really would love to give it to Sammy just for that final goal, but I'm going to go back and I'm actually going to give it to Zen. Sorry, who's struggled throughout the season so far, but I think he's really found his place in that team in this week.
A great way for them to finish solidifying their play, and Legs Silly really stepped up big. However, we are going to go to a 5-minute break, and when we return, we find out if Lovedex can challenge Tainted Minds.